But let's get straight down into our management discussion today on this Friday edition of Power Lunch. Joining us after a while, I think, is Sajiv Goenka, Vice Chairman of the RPG Group. Lots of questions to ask you, Mr. Goenka. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad you could make time for us today.
It's a pleasure.
Let me get right into each of those questions, actually. And I want to start with your recent tie-up with the South African company on the coal linkages. All sorted out there, all tied up. It's an important project for you, and I believe it's going to link into a new greenfield project here in India.
Yes, absolutely. It's a new venture for us. It's exciting. What we have done is we've bought 10% equity in an Australian firm which owns a 650 million ton coal mine in South Africa. So that is one part of the deal. The second part of the deal is an offtake agreement whereby we will get 40 million tons of coal over the next 20 years. So which means we could actually set up a new thermal power plant. We will set this up at one of the coastal locations, and we are scouting for the location, but it just means that the coal supply is now available.
Okay. Mr. Goenka, I know that you probably haven't firmed up plans or things aren't at an advanced stage for you to give us too much detail, but I'm guessing then this is a fairly large sort of power facility that you'd be planning, because the linkage is, seems to be a fairly large quantum as well. Can you just run us through anything that you have in mind, any numbers in terms of investment there, the kind of facility you're looking at?
I can walk you through the entire power investment plans, and what we're planning to invest over the next 5 to 6 years is about 35,000 crores in power, 7,000 megawatts of additional generating capacity, which will be spread across different states: Maharashtra, Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, Orissa, and not restricted to these. We are also looking at a foray into hydropower, and we are exploring different options on hydro. We've got land for solar, and we should look at solar very, very keenly as well.
Okay, so that's a fairly sort of ambitious roadmap you have ahead. 6 to 7 years is what I've been reading that you hope to achieve this at this point in time?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Goenka, about the existing, projects that are already on stream or coming on stream. What are the? Are all of them, have they all achieved financial closure right now? Are you looking to raise money at an SPV level in any of them? What's the plan on those ones?
Well, the plant at Maharashtra has achieved financial closure. The plant at Haldia is achieved financial closure. But we will be raising money at an SPV level. We are in active dialogue with many private equity players, all of whom seem to be very, very interested. And I think in the next few weeks, maybe 8, 10, 12 weeks, we hope to move substantively forward on this.
All right, that's a fairly short time frame. Right now you hold 100% in all of them, right? So how much are you willing to dilute to these private equity players across each individual project?
Maybe about 20%.
So that should result in a substantial amount of fundraising then. Any sort of ballpark number I can pin you down to?
Not really. You can't pin me down to any numbers at this stage, but they look fairly attractive.
All right, so things are moving, the wheels are spinning, and some amount of equity could come into some of these power projects, as Mr. Goenka just said. Mr. Goenka, I want to switch focus now, as always, to the retail side. How are things shaping up there? Have there been any significant business developments? You've been sort of cautiously going ahead on the Spencer side. Any change in strategy in tracks?
Well, I think the change has been in the performance, which is actually looking up. For the last 3 months, we've actually been averaging 1,000 rupees a square foot of sales per square foot, and that, I think, is a very, very significant step forward. Last year, same time, we were at roughly about 660, 670 rupees a square foot, and we are probably the only retailer of scale to be at over 1,000 rupees revenues per square foot per month. I think that is a very big step forward. We are now at a store level profit, which again, for the company as a whole, which is the first step towards overall profitability. Our losses have reduced significantly. They've reduced by almost about 15, 16 crores a month. Now, that's another significant step forward. We still make losses. We still have to cover those losses. And I think it'll take us 12 or 18 months to do that. But we seem to be very much on track for doing that.
Okay, so FY13 as a target to break even at a company level still holds, not sort of bringing it forward at all?
No, I think FY13 for company break even, yes, that's what it looks like.
Okay, are you adding some retail space also, I believe? It's justified by the environment right now?
You know, we've started going into a lot more detail before planning for new retail space in terms of the demographics, the requirements, the food consumption habits, and so on. And yes, we are adding about 200,000 square feet of retail space over the next 6 months.
Generally speaking, Mr. Goenka, I mean, you're seeing the sentiment on the retail side turn around, you're seeing footfalls increase, you're seeing a sort of conversion into revenues increase. I just want to get a broader sort of sector perspective also from you, because retail hasn't sort of picked up as rapidly as it should have, given that you've got consumption demand looking very strong in the economy. Has it sort of kept pace?
Well, I think the last few months seems to be actually doing very well. But if you ask me, has retail demand kept pace with the economic growth? No, it has not. But consumption is increasing, and increasingly more and more people are spending. Because of the recession, there was this whole mentality where people said, if I can defer consumption, let me do it. If I can defer it by a month, let me do it. If I can defer it by 2 months, let me do it. And now it's suddenly going back to, why defer it? If we need it today, let's get it today. And I think that's a very significant shift in confidence of spending levels in the economy in the future. And I think that's the most significant step in terms of revenues going up.
Okay, so that's on the Spencer side. And then the third business I wanted to get your thoughts on was on Philip Carbon. How are things looking there? Direct beneficiary of the auto sector pickup, the tire industry pickup?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's been on a very aggressive growth path, and we are the second fastest growing carbon black company in the world over the last 5 years. We hope we will become the fastest growing carbon black company in the world, but that may take us a year or two to get there. But yes, I think capacities are getting ramped up, new capacities are being created. We've recently got all the approvals for our plant in Vietnam. We are almost completing our second expansion at Mundra at our new plant, and so things are looking actually good.
And you're pumping in money here. Are you raising anything, or is this all internal accruals that are sort of being pumped back into the business?
It's we did a small equity raising of about 100 crores a few weeks ago, very quietly. It was a private placement that we did. And as of now, there is no capital raising plans immediately, but next financial year, we will look at raising some capital.
That will be for this company in particular, right? Philips Carbon?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Goenka, I'm just going to throw this as one last question, but how are plans shaping along with the holding company structure that we've been hearing about to sort of divvy things up in a nice, comfortable manner for everybody within the family? Are things on track there as well?
Well, things are very cordial, very comfortable, and very happy.
When does the process come to an end, just so we know?
Yes, it is at an end now. It's almost, it's the last little bits which are happening now.
All right, good to know that as well. Thanks so much, Mr. Goenka. It's great having you, and sorry to sort of throw all the possible questions I could think of there, all the companies, the power plans, retail sector plans, and of course some issues that have been in the news around the family business as well. Mr. Goenka saying that the holding company plans are coming along nicely and almost at an end actually. Power business remains their core focus and the investments there on track. We're taking a quick break on Power Lunch. We'll come back on the other side. We've got a couple of big stories that we want to focus on. The Tata Motors DVR issue is creating a lot of interest. Pankaj details that, and SIAM holding a press conference to talk about the auto sector numbers. Ketan's got that.